Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Nancy Hillis.
And I'm Dr. Bruce Sawhill.
It's great to see you again. Today, we're going to talk about something that came up in conversations with Bruce and I, and that has to do with how to keep going, even if you're far into your art. Maybe you've been doing this for 20 or 30 years. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Nancy Hillis. And how do you keep going? Okay, when that happens. I just heard that echo. I don't know where that was from, Bruce.
we talk a lot about starting, about 0 to 1. And, that could implicitly devalue going from 917 to 918. But we're actually today going to talk about going from 917 to 918.
Right. And so how did this come up? We were walking and we were about to go swimming.
It
and
came
told
up
me a
about
story.
5 weeks ago that I'm a musician. I play the organ. And so I was in a church to practice. And, I've been doing this for 45 years. And I had a kind of crisis of confidence of a kind I'd never had before in all those years. Just all of a sudden, it was like hitting an air pocket in an airplane. I thought, what was I thinking that I could do this? Why did I ever imagine I was a musician? And I hadn't had something like a bad performance or bad review or anything. It was just a hit of self-doubt.
Mhm.
And it was the only time ever in my life that I can remember just turning off the power, shutting down the organ console and leaving. I had never done that. And I did it that day.
Mhm. Right. And how this can come up seemingly out of nowhere, this self-doubt rear its ugly head, even though you had been playing in concerts for years. You've played in Europe on fabulous organs and cathedrals, but suddenly you had this crisis of confidence.
Yeah. And maybe it even didn't have that much to do with music. Maybe it was other aspects of life that were intruding in. And one place where it happens often on a small scale is swimming. As those of you who follow us know, we swim a lot. And I swim in the ocean. I haven't talked Nancy into doing that yet because it's cold. It's about 57 Fahrenheit, so about 14 Celsius. And so we have these buoys that are we swim in a cove. And there are these line of buoys that demarcate the swimming area. There's several hundred yards offshore. And so what I do I've done this, being a mathematician, I always figure out the numbers of everything. Probably swum between 1,000 and 1,500 times. But when I put my toe in the water, the first, each time I say, this is so cold. What was I thinking? And so there's a standard, what I call plea bargaining. It said, just swim to the first buoy. And that's about 100 strokes or 125 strokes. And then you say, if you get to the first buoy, you can tag it and go back in. And probably 99+% of the time, I don't go back in. I say, well, now I've already endured most of the pain and now it's starting to be fun. So I should keep going. And so this is about the power of habit to overcome these crises of confidence, big and small. The music one was big, the swimming ones are small.
Well, this comes up for artists quite often. And I've talked to artists who had, careers where they were just doing really well. They were selling out their solo shows. This was going along, tacking along for decades. And then all of a sudden, something stops them and they're blocked and doubt rises up. Maybe somebody said something at an exhibition, maybe something else was going on. But this can happen at any phase of the life cycle of being an artist. Is self-doubt and inner criticism rearing up and stopping you.
And it can come from quarters completely different than art. It can be some other aspect of life.
Yes.
Now in the swimming, it is actually the sensation of cold water. It's very proximal and direct. But like in the music example, I don't think it had anything particular to do with music.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess the question becomes, how do you grapple with that? How do you move past that when you face this moment? It's kind of like the dark night of the soul, where you're really facing yourself and all that doubt rises up.
And I think habits are the key. Having a discipline, swimming, it's the plea bargaining example. But in music or art, it's getting into the studio or sitting down at the piano or the console or taking out the violin, that you say, well, I don't really feel like it, but I'm just going to practice it, revisit this piece I know. I got myself
Mhm.
back into it by playing several Bach chorale preludes, um, because I know and love those, and it reinstilled the love of music.
Right. And so I think it's like what you're getting at is just do it anyway. I mean, is to kind of have some kind of practice where it's like, okay, I'm just going to go in there and mix some paints.
Mhm.
Something, it's that 0 to 1, it's that breaking through that resistance. And what we do a lot of times is the 6 maquettes, which you can probably see back behind Bruce. Back here, can you see these? Where we go in and make 6 moves on 6 blocks. I mean, we want to somehow break through that resistance, that fear, that inner criticism, that self-doubt, and develop patterns or habits of showing up and going from there. So I think that this translates to whatever, including swimming, because, we run into a lot of resistance there, right? I
Yeah.
do as well. Put your toe in the water. We talked about that last time on here. Put your toe in the water. And I think too that last time we were talking about accessing an attitude of ease, a state of ease, imagining, well, what if I got in here and swim with ease? What if I got in here and played with ease in the studio and played around with, hard edge minimalism blocks or 6 maquettes or mixing colors, that sort of thing, or just drawing, stream of consciousness mark making. So those kinds of things, and just going ahead anyway and doing it every day if you can, is very helpful, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right. And that in the music example, I went and revisited pieces I knew well, but I wanted to hear them with new ears. I thought, well, I've played these many times before, but maybe revisiting things that gave me strength in the past will help. And they did.
That's good. I like that. Yeah. And so I think that's our message today, is to realize you're not alone. If you've been in this for a long time, like Bruce is a musician and composer who's played the organ for years, or you're an artist who's been painting for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and you run into a moment or a period of time where you feel blocked and you feel that it's so difficult to get in there, and you're doubting yourself. First of all, remember you're not alone. And secondly, that there are ways through this. It certainly helps to be in a community, I think.
It does help to be in a community. Like there are lots of times, swimming again, playing the organ doesn't count because it's kind of a solo thing usually. But swimming does, where if you've arranged to meet somebody else at the ocean, you would, many times you say, well, I don't know, it's kind of windy today and I'm kind of tired and I'll go tomorrow, but they're expecting me, so I'll go down there.
Right.
And actually swimming with Nancy, I think is good for both of us. We do it more than we would if we were on our own.
That's right. So it helps if you've got a friend that you can talk to who's an artist, and even get together. I've got a friend here in Santa Cruz who gets together with another artist, and they started exploring not only their paintings, but also creating sculptures related to their paintings, which was really interesting. And they kept each other going, and it was during the pandemic. So there's all kinds of ways to do that. Is there anything else you want to cover, or shall we kind of wrap it up here, Bruce?
I think just wrap it up. It's Mother's Day, at least in the US. And, we've talked about going from 0 to 1 a lot, and that is very important. But going from 917 to 918 is important too. I guess it's a kind of miniature 0 to 1.
I like that.
And
Yes.
it comes up a lot.
Well, you're going from something to something.
Yeah,
right?
something to something.
Instead of nothing to something. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. If you're on the website, if you're seeing us on the website, down below, you're going to see 3 images, and that is images of the potential cover for our next book in the Adjacent Possible series. And I know a number of you have already placed your vote or made your comments about your favorite, but if you haven't, go ahead and do that. Let us know if you like cover number 1, cover number 2, or cover number 3, and let us know in the comments on the website, which is artistsjourney.com. You can also get to the website if you just put in nancyhillis.com. And if you're on YouTube and you're not on the website, go on over and take a look at those covers. We'd love to hear your thoughts about that. In the meanwhile, if you haven't already gotten yourself a copy of the first in this series, which is The Adjacent Possible, this was a review copy I have. I was looking around to find my other copy. But The Adjacent Possible really kind of fleshes out what we're talking about here with The Adjacent Possible. Go ahead and get yourself a copy so you understand when you look at the second book where we're coming from. Very excited about the second book because in the second book we're featuring 25 artists, and then and Bruce and I are in there as well, but 25 artists works in vignette stories about how they have accessed the adjacent possible in their art, and it's gorgeous, and it's coming down the road. We'll let you know as it shows up when it's ready for publications. But in the meanwhile,
this month we're hoping
this month. But in the meanwhile, we would love to hear your thoughts on which cover you prefer. So let us know down below, and we'll see you next time. And I hope you have a great day and a great week, and get in there, get going, and keep going. Okay, and so we'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.